test drive. This is awesome.
It has the noises for sure.
Hey, what's up everybody? My name's Jeremy, I'm with ECS Tuning, and today we're gonna be working on my B8.5 S4. This car is pretty much all stock. I've done a couple minor upgrades, I would say. I've got the honeycomb style grille and I've got window tint. Fun and exciting, but not as fun and exciting as the things that we now have planned for this car. The first and most important thing is we need to get a fresh oil change on the vehicle. So we've got our Liquimoly oil here, along with a Hengst oil filter. To make sure the inside of the car smells fresh too, we're gonna change out the old dirty cabin air filter and replace it with a Hengst Blue Care. We have ignition coils from APR along with some APR spark plugs. We'll be putting on some front brakes and pads from Meyle, as well as some Meyle HD control arms for the front. We'll also be doing the rear pads and rotors as well with Meyle. We have some performance upgrades here. We have an ECS X pipe. We have some APR parts, including the Supercharger throttle body, the APR Stage 1 pulley set for the supercharger, and then there's the aesthetics for the vehicle. We're gonna put on the ECS front splitter, a spoiler, and a rear diffuser. So let's start with the basics. Let's do the oil change. Let's get the cabin air filters. We'll do some ignition coils. After that, we'll work on some more of the performance products, and then we can finish with the aesthetics. So we've got the ignition coils on, the new spark plugs. We've put the ECS Tuning air intake back on, and we're ready for the next step. We're gonna put the ECS street shield on the vehicle here. Give it a nice little cleaner look down on the bottom and make sure that everything stays secure from road debris. So here we have a riv nut and a riv nut tool. And the purpose of this is for helping secure the street shield to your car. So the first thing you want to do is actually tighten this down here, get that in, and you can see it's got a tight little fit, but it's loose. So we grab our torque wrench, we put this in place here, get our wrench set up, and then we just start turning. Now that that's locked in place, just spin this back and take this off. That's how you install a riv nut.
We're here working on Jeremy's B8 S4. We're going to be doing the whole front control arm kit from Meyle. It's a OEM replacement kit, but it comes with upgraded parts. It's got larger diameter ball joints in the control arms and also the lower ball joints. So it's like a OE Plus upgrade. So you shouldn't have to replace it again. And with our lifetime replacement, you won't have to pay to replace it again.
Today I'm here to talk about the wheel bearings. So on this one, the bearing was removed because it was making a howling noise as the vehicle was driving down the road. So part of that is that we recommend going with a premium bearing. Now, the reason why you want to go with a premium bearing is you have some issues such as stack tolerances, as well as just having a good quality bearing that's going to last for the, the upgradable future of this vehicle. Inside the kit, you're going to see that we have the bearing itself, we have the center axle nut, and then we have the 4 mounting bolts. Any well set that you see that comes from us as a premium bearing is going to have those included with it. When you're pressing in on the press, you want to make sure that you support this back ring here so that you can't press that inner piece out. Sometimes what will happen on some of the other ones, you actually have a different lip that stands up a little bit higher. And what will happen is that inner ring doesn't get supported and it'll press it out. And then once you've done that, the bearing's damaged and you have to replace it with another brand new unit. The other thing that you want to pay attention to is on this one, you have what they call an encoder sill. So inside here, you have a little magnetized ring that picks up all your ABS speed sensor signals and relays it to the vehicle. So you want to make sure that you don't damage that during the installation process. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to install the hub bearings back onto the vehicle. One thing I want to note is that we've actually prepped this already and cleaned it so that you got a good clean mating surface so that when these are put together and you torque everything down, we're not going to have any offsets of anything where we're going to run into problems with, again, we talked about the stack tolerances earlier, having that bearing being offset. Something to note as well is on this axle shaft, if you'll see here, when you go to pull it out, if you leave this open, you can actually have that grease accessible to dirt, everything else that's in the shop. So what we want to do is before we disassemble, put everything back together, just put the old bolt back in there a couple threads to keep anything from getting into it. So one last final tip when installing, you always want to put the axle nut on hand tight first and then torque it to specifications. You don't want to run this down with the impact gun. By doing that, you can actually damage the bearing or the bolt itself. All right, now that we've put it on by hand, we've torqued it to specifications. The reason why that's so important is because these bearings actually have a proper preload that they're supposed to be under. If you over tighten this, you can actually put too much pressure on the bearing, causing premature failure.
All right, we're here putting the brakes on the B8 S4 from Meyle. We have rotors and pads. The cool thing I noticed about the pads is they come with a 3M adhesive strip on the whole back side of the pad. So when you install it, you remove that strip instead of having to use your finger and smear grease along where the piston or the ears of the caliper rub on the brake pad and cause noise and vibration. Instead of putting grease there, they give you this strip so you get to keep your fingers clean, saves time and a mess. Another thing I noticed is all of their parts pretty much are labeled left and right, which makes it really simple because some of these are hard to remember when they go. When you have that many arms off of a car at a time, it's hard to remember which one goes where sometimes, so they label them for you. And then when I opened the box for the rotors, I was happy to see they give you the screw to hold down your rotor, because if you've done enough of these, there's been at least one time where you've struggled with this, stripped it out, and then had to reuse it, wishing that you had a new one. Well, they got you covered and it comes in the box.
Today should be fairly easy. We are going to replace the stock exhaust with our AWE, and then we're going to put on some side skirts. So, easy peasy.
That washer ain't washing.
Did it seriously just break?
Oh yeah, there it is. Hold on.
Quality.
Quality. OEM quality. Sounds so good.
We are going to do the APR upgraded pulley. There's two ways to go about this. One is pull the whole front end off and put it in service mode, or the other would be pulling the supercharger off, and I'm going to go with that option because I've pulled the supercharger off our B8 several times and I know it doesn't take more than an hour to do really, so I'm gonna choose that way because you gotta use the tool to get the pulley off, and then you gotta heat the pulley up to get it to slide on all the way. I feel like it'll be much easier to do with the supercharger on the bench, so that's the way I'm gonna go about it, and hopefully I'm right and this way's easier. So we got this awesome tool from APR where it actually goes around the pulley, and then they give you this piece to slide over top of it on the back, and then you have two bolts that bolt in, and then the center bolt you just tighten it, and it gives you a spot to put a 1/2-inch ratchet in the end of it so you can counter hold it. As you'll see, Grant held it while I pulled it off, and I was able to do it with the gear wrench, so it's obviously not that tight to get off. So now we're going to figure out and heat up the other pulley and get it slid on, and then get the supercharger put back on.
To dig out, brave little toaster. This thing's had a hard life.
Very hard life.
It's done a lot of like testing for like logo tags and stuff on when we were figuring all those out. So don't ever make toast in this thing. Lots of burnt plastic. But yeah, it works. It worked. What are you gonna do? It's like 400 or something for this thing, right?
$350.
350?
Is that right?
Yeah,
For an hour?
$350
Yep.
for an hour.
All
It's
right.
like some cookies.
Stay on. Well, conventional bake, I assume? Pizza?
I'm gonna burn myself probably when I go to work on this thing. Alright, so our dessert is ready.
Hot potato, hot potato.
Oh, it slides right on just like they said.
Look at that.
It's on all the way, bottomed flush. That's that. $350, 1 hour. Listen to them. Give it the 1 hour. Don't try to do it sooner. That was way too easy. It's all buttoned up. Everything's ready to go. Topped off with antifreeze, and we're about to give it a tune here.
What are we doing today, Jeremy?
Putting on some grill accents, a front lip spoiler, rear diffuser, and a couple other pieces.
Essentially our whole B8 S4 body kit or
Yes.
accent
pretty
kit?
much. Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Or are you just gonna go straight for it?
I don't know yet.
So we've done a lot to your car, a lot of exterior bits, a lot of maintenance, even an exhaust. What do you think really helped the car overall in terms of everything we've done to it?
I think the speed is definitely the biggest change to this car, and that would be the pulley and the tune. The AWE exhaust system sounds great. Inside the car, you don't really notice it as much, and that was one of my concerns. I didn't want a lot of inside the car noise, but sitting there on idle, nice and quiet, as soon as I hit the gas, I can take off and you can hear me fly away. I've received a lot of compliments on the lip spoiler, the diffuser, and the rear spoiler as well too. I think it adds a nice appearance to the car. Catching up on some of the maintenance was a breeze. You know, we did the Liquimoly and Hengst oil change on the vehicle here, We did the APR ignition coils and the spark plugs. Everything's been great at startup. Car's been running nice and smooth. We also added the Meyle HD control arms to this vehicle, and I can definitely tell a difference riding the vehicle. The old control arms were worn out, bumpy, much smoother of a drive with these.
Definitely feels good.
It's nice and fast.
Yeah.
Faster than I thought the upgrades would have made it. I mean, it was a quick car before, but it's a much quicker car now.
Yeah.
So if you've liked what you've seen in this video today, feel free to go ahead, click that like button, subscribe, and come back and watch some more videos.